For the first time, South America hosted the G20 Presidential Summit this year. Buenos Aires received leaders from around the world. It was an opportunity for Argentina to play broker to the world's most powerful economies and work to reach a consensus on the big questions facing the world. But it would also place a spotlight that at times shone too bright on a reality in a host country that is suffering with a struggling economy. For Argentina, this was an opportunity to guide the global conversation.
Because we are bringing to the G20 vision from the South, a vision from a developing country, because that's who we are. And that's something you can do when you are in this place. You can try to lead the agenda into that direction, and that's already very good.
Argentina laid out 3 basic priorities to discuss at this year's G20: the future of work, infrastructure and food security. For a country like Argentina, a major agricultural producer, food security is a key issue. As the world's population continues to grow and in the face of climate change concerns, ensuring the provision of food is vital.
Here we have a lot of water in this area. For example, if you analyze the name of this province, it's called Entre Ríos, between rivers. We have a lot of water to produce food.
Alejandro not only runs his blueberry export business, he's also a PhD candidate researching the use of water.
You have to consider that 70% of the sweet water or the fresh water of the world is used for agriculture. We are using a lot of water. So what we have to do is to improve the water use efficiency of the irrigated lands.
Improving efficiency is just part of working towards greater food security. Argentina's Agriculture Secretary Luis Echeverri told CGTN that the G20 agriculture ministers were able to agree on key points.
Llegamos a un documento firmado por todos los integrantes, lo que parecía difícil al principio, pero lo importante que se logró en el sentido de tener un futuro alimentario sostenible.
Urban issues like the future of work and infrastructure are 2 of the challenges facing the host city Buenos Aires. At the Torcuato de Tella University, Cynthia Goytia is concerned that the Buenos Aires metropolis is expanding fast and without planning.
The government is trying to tackle this, and they are working a lot to provide and to finance the extension of infrastructure, but one of the main issues is how this infrastructure, how this gap in infrastructure is going to be financed. And this is one of the issues that is included in the G20 discussion that Argentina was proposing.
Urban spaces are just one aspect of the infrastructure problem facing this country.
Argentina tiene una falta de infraestructura muy importante, no solo en autopistas, sino por ejemplo también en los trenes de carga. Esto muestra una infraestructura muy importante que se construyó hace mucho tiempo, que fue mal mantenida, por lo tanto hoy transporta poca carga.
As well as the priorities, Argentina and Buenos Aires put forward new ideas like a new forum, Urban 20, which, while not an official part of the G20 presidency, did bring together mayors from cities around the world at a time when multilateralism is proving difficult.
The exchange among cities, the relationship between cities, I will say is able to pass the difficulties that multilateralism find at the country level. So we have in the cities probably an opportunity to fix some of the problems that multilateral agreements are having at the national level, because at the cities is where citizens can meet more often the governments, and governments can talk to each other more easily.
Argentina has promoted the G20 as a vehicle to bring positive changes to people's lives.
When you explain these things that we're talking about, the future work, education, health, climate change, how this finance system operates, how the things related to agriculture, the things related to anti-corruption, and also to the gender issues, they come to understand that it is important.
While it is the most important global event ever hosted in this country, it also takes place while Argentina experiences a worsening economic situation.
It's very important, and also it's an opportunity for the government in a moment in which the economic conditions in Argentina are quite severe.
It has been a turbulent year for Argentina's economy. inflation expected to hit 45% by the end of the year, the peso has devalued by around 50%, and there have been protests and strikes throughout the year, not least at the country returning to the International Monetary Fund for a multi-billion-dollar loan.
He decidido iniciar conversaciones con el Fondo Monetario Internacional.
There were protests at the finance minister meeting when the IMF president, Christine Lagarde, was present and when she ratified the direction of this government's policies.
For the moment, if you were to ask me whether the partnership that we have in place is working, whether it's effective, whether the authorities are on track, my response is unequivocally yes.
Backing from the IMF has brought a political cost in a country that still remembers the 2001 economic crash. And the economic situation has cut away at the popularity of the president, Mauricio Macri.
He won the presidency 3 years ago with 34% of the votes in the first round. Then he won in the second round. Then he was able to increase his base of support. His popularity remained very high for 2 years. He won the midterm elections, and now with the economic crisis that we are seeing this year, his support went down to the original 35% support.
The domestic situation comes in addition to opposition to the G20.
We have different groups that oppose to G20 because G20 has actually a very big and catch-all agenda, right? It talks about everything. It's a forum that they have a policy for everything.
From feminists to land movements to climate change activists, many congregated in Buenos Aires in a so-called counter-summit.
They all have something to say regarding G20. That's why we have all gathered together to try to give a unique response. I mean, a response that goes that joins us in one big activity next week against G20, right?
But the G20 says it is addressing the important issues of the day.
These things have to be addressed, but the thing is, the main problem is how they are addressed and by whom. I mean, you have to open a global dialogue in order to actually address the future of work, to address the future of our food system, to address climate change. These are priorities, but what they actually end up discussing is about free trade, more rights for corporations, more money for the IMF. So that is not a way to address this problem.
Austerity measures have led to violent clashes in recent months in Argentina, not the image the country wished to project at this summit. And while Argentina deals with its domestic problems, the G20 took place in a very different international panorama to the one that had been expected when Argentina was named host in 2016.
Being part of the international community was one of the president's promises. One of his things was to reinsert Argentina into the world, and it was really a very different world than it is today. Everyone in the government, they thought Hillary was going to win. Brexit had not happened yet. Bolsonaro in Brazil, of course, had not happened yet. So it was really a different world. Macri thought that Argentina was going to get back to a more liberal world, a world that was going to welcome Argentina back from the populism, that the world was going to consider himself the savior of the person who defeated populism, and that the world was going to help Argentina in terms of investments, etc.
Juan Negri expected the G20 to take place in the backdrop of a trade war that overshadowed many of the issues that Argentina hoped to discuss. Argentina looked to play a broker's role, working to build a consensus.
Every country has different objectives and different interests. That's perfectly understood. But things that we have to try to make those compatible with a general growth of the GDP, the global GDP, and a very good distribution everywhere. The summit is the most important. I always say that is the only thing that is important, because at the end of the day, the real result of the G20 presidency is the leaders' communique. That's the one that really matters.